Hey Panthers, this is your ELA Skill of the Week video on determining the central idea and details. So we're just going to dive right in. It says, think about your favorite story. If you had to tell a friend what it's mostly about, what would you say? A text's central idea is the most important point the writer is trying to make. Sometimes the central idea is directly stated, but more often it's not. Supporting details are facts, examples, reasons, or descriptions that expand on the central idea. So as we look at this picture, we're looking at what do we think the central idea is, and then what is a supporting detail that we see? And it says, it looks like a mom and a daughter, and the mom says, a cactus like this can survive for months without water. And then the daughter says, and it defends itself with the spines. So we have to complete our chart. First, find and record the third supporting detail, and then figure out what the important point that the illustrator is trying to make. So let's see what the supporting details are. It looks like supporting detail 1 is that a cactus can survive for months without water. And then supporting detail 2 is the sign down here, which I didn't even notice, states that the cactus should not be touched. So I think that our third supporting detail are that it's going to be what the girl said. So and for my third supporting detail, I'm going to write that the spines of the cactus can protect it. So now I've got my 3 supporting details here, and I got to figure out what is the overall central idea of this little comic strip. So we have to think about what do these 3 supporting details have in common? So I think that what the illustrator is trying to kind of come across by using these 3 supporting details is something that the cactus is a plant, don't mind my misspell, they seem to adapt. So adaptions that help it survive in the desert and defend itself. And let me fix my misspelling, actually. So I came up with this central idea after looking at my 3 supporting details and figuring out what did those have in common. So let me see if we continue to read. It says, readers determine a text's central idea and supporting details so they can better understand the text's meaning. A central idea often needs to be figured out by analyzing the supporting details. Think of yourself as a detective describing a complex situation and finding clues to support your observation. So from moving on, I think that that's really important information. It says a central idea often needs to be figured out by analyzing the supporting details. That seems like a very, very important piece of information. So going on to page 2, and we are going to be reading this paragraph on the unusual Venus flytrap written by Amy Baker. It says, the Venus flytrap is a unique plant with many admirers. This carnivorous plant grows in the bogs of North America. With red-lined lobes that resemble a mouth, the Venus flytrap looks more like a creature than a plant. It uses these lobes to capture and eat insects. It It can even digest small frogs. The lobes have small trigger hairs that cause the plant to clamp down in an instant when unsuspecting prey comes too close. Finger-like extensions called cilia intertwine to keep the lobes shut tight. It is this trapping action that people find so fascinating. So we're going to, it says, explore how to answer these questions. What is the central idea of the paragraph, and what details support this idea? The central idea is going to be the most important point the author makes. The central idea is not always directly stated. You often need to figure it out based on the details and state it in your own words. Reread the title and the first and last sentences of the paragraph to look for clues about the central idea. Write the central idea in the middle of the web, then skim the paragraph to find details that support this idea. 2 supporting details are shown below. So I'm going to go ahead and read those supporting details. Supporting detail number 1. The Venus flytrap looks like a creature with a mouth. And then supporting detail that number 2 is that the Venus flytrap can eat frogs. So, if I needed to come up with a third supporting detail that comes up with something that I'm thinking, like they're saying he looks like a mouth, it can eat frogs, something that he has to do with them eating, more specifically like what they eat. So I think for my third supporting detail, I'm going to go back to my text and look here. And I think I'm going to go with that it's carnivorous, which means that it eats meat. It's a plant that eats meat. So that seems like a pretty unique and interesting detail. So the Venus flytrap is carnivorous. That was my third supporting detail. And now that I've come up with 3 supporting details, I'm going to come up with what I think that my central idea of the entire text is. So I know that it's going to be the most important point that the author wants to make, and I know it's sometimes not always directly stated. So I'm going to go back to my text. And I'm going to read the first and the last sentences to see if it can help me. And so my first sentence is, the Venus flytrap is a unique plant with many admirers. And my last sentence is, it is this trapping action that people find so fascinating. So when I'm looking at those 2 sentences, I see words like unusual and fascinating and unique up here. So I'm going to kind of use those clues and determine my central idea. So we're going to go back down to our web. And for the central idea, we're going to write that the Venus flytraps are unusual plants that many people think are fascinating. See how we're using words that the author used, but in our own words? So we can see our central idea and then our 3 supporting details. Moving on to page 3. This says, continue reading about the Venus flytrap. Use the close reading and the hint to help you answer the question. So, continued from page 4. One of the most mysterious things about the Venus flytrap is that scientists still don't understand how the trap closes. The flytrap does not have the muscles, tendons, or nervous system necessary for movement. Scientists guess that the trap might close using some electrical impulses and pressure changes. The longer they study the Venus flytrap, the more likely scientists are to discover how it functions. It should be no mystery, however, why this unusual plant has captured the imaginations of so many people. So let's look at our close reading. It says, find and underline the sentence in this paragraph that most closely restates the central idea that we found on page number 4. So on the central idea that we stated was that the Venus flytrap was an unusual plant that many people thought was fascinating. So in this paragraph, I'm looking for where it would restate that the best. And I think that comes in the last sentence. It says, it should be no mystery, however, why this unusual plant has captured the imaginations of so many people. So that's like exactly what we said in our main idea, just a little bit restated. So that works well. So that's underlined. And now we're trying to, this hint. Which choice best represents what the author wants readers to take away from this text? See, if I was using our test-taking skills, I should have came down here and read this question first. So, which sentence from the paragraph best shows the text central idea? Oh my goodness, we just underlined that. So let's look and read all of our options before circling an answer. It says, one of the most mysterious things about the Venus flytrap is that scientists still don't know how the trap closes. Is it B, the flytrap does not have the muscles, tendons, or nervous system for movement? Is it C, scientists guess that the trap might close using some electrical impulses and pressure changes? Or is it D, it should be no mystery, however, why this unusual plant has captured the imaginations of so many people? So the correct answer is, in fact, D. So what's really important about determining the central idea, you have to really think that if you didn't come up with a central idea that was correct, then you would have gotten this entire part incorrect. So really using those hints to look at your first and your last sentences in your first paragraph, that really is helpful in determining your text central idea. And then our last part on the page number 3 says, explain how the answer you chose conveys the text central idea. So you can write down, whatever you think, but I'm going to write down, remember, we're going to try writing a complete sentence as always. The answer I chose conveys the text central idea because it talks about the Venus flytrap being unusual and how people think that it is fascinating. Sure. Then again, your answers can vary. Write down whatever you think, why that answer really helps us convey that central idea. Now moving on to page 4. This is called the corpse flower. I'm going to read the text, and then we're going to have to do the close reading on the side. It says, why would thousands of men, women, and children wait in line to see a flower that smells like rotting flesh? In May 2003, more than 16,000 visitors did just this when Titan Arum bloomed in Bonn, Germany. Titan Arum's nickname of corpse flower emphasizes its unusual smell, like a decomposing body when in bloom. Scent isn't these flowers' only unique trait. They also grow at an impressive rate. The Bonn corpse flower reached a height of 9 feet in full bloom. They bloom for only 1 to 2 days at a time, and their leaves open to reveal the dark red color of raw flesh. When a corpse flower blooms, people flock to witness the unforgettable sight of a man-sized flower ripe with the color and scent of death. This rare flower was first discovered in Sumatran rainforests in 1878. Although corpse flowers still grow there, they are endangered. To learn about the flowers, biologists raise them in botanical gardens. Some flowers never bloom, and others only bloom once. When a flower opens, biologists have only 1 or 2 days to observe the process. Biologists have learned that these plants can grow up to 6 inches a day and reach 9 feet tall. The rotting flesh scent lures in insects for pollination. Biologists analyze this scent to determine how close it is to that of real rotting meat. Here's one fact they learned. The human nose can't detect a difference in the scents. Given Titum Arum's strange traits, who wouldn't jump at a chance to see the world's worst smelling flower? Yikes. So, let's look at what they want us to do for our close reading. Why do people rush to see the corpse flower? Underline details that show why people find it so interesting. And then it says, reread the first and the last sentences. What similar idea does the author use to open and close the account? So that's going to help us determine our central idea. So first, let's go ahead and underline details about people why think that the corpse flower is so interesting. Let's start in paragraph 1. I already have some underlines over here. So it seems to me like the most detailed is that it smells like rotting flesh. That is very important as to why people come to visit it. I don't know if I would necessarily want to go visit it because that just doesn't seem ew. So we gotta find any details that talks about the smell. So like a decomposing body, that's a good detail. We'll see. And then I think that it's pretty interesting that it can reach 9 feet. It can be 9 feet in full bloom. That's like a giant flower. Man-sized flower ripe with the color and the scent of death. These are all really good details that are going to help convey. These are probably going to be our supporting details for our central idea. So now it's going to ask us to reread the first and last sentences. So the first sentence says, why would thousands of men, women, and children wait in line to see a flower that smells like rotting flesh? And then the last sentence is, given Titan Arum's strange traits, who wouldn't jump at the chance to see the world's worst smelling flower? It says, what similar idea does the author use to open and close the account? I think that the similar idea that they're talking about is people going and visiting it and like going out of their way to see this terrible smelling flower. In the beginning, it seemed like, why would people do that? At the end, it's like, of course people are going to go, visit this flower. So I think our central idea is going to be about visiting this flower. So let's move on to our last and final page of our guided lesson. And it says, use the hints on the page to help you answer the questions. Which of the following details best supports the idea that people are very interested in the corpse flower? So it says A, the corpse flower has the smell of rotting flesh. B, 16,000 people came to see the corpse flower in Bonn, Germany. C, The flower was nicknamed corpse flower because of its smell. Or D, the inside of the flower looks dark red when it blooms. So look at this hint. Which choice provides proof that many people want to see the corpse flower? That key word right there is proof. So the proof is going to be that many people, how do I know that many people want to see the corpse flower? Oh, because 16,000 people have already gone to see it. Okay? And then number 2, which of the following details from the text is not strong support for why people would be so interested in the corpse flower? So which is not a strong support of why people want to go see it? Is it A, it smells like rotting flesh? B, it often grows as tall as a man? C, it blooms only for a short time? Or D, it lures in insects for pollination? And over here our hint says, which details help explain why someone would want to go all the way to Germany to see the corpse flower? So we know people want to go see it because it smells and that it's giant. And people are also flocking to go see it and standing in line because it only blooms for 1 or 2 days. I don't know about you guys, but the fact that it lures in insects is kind of what makes me not want to go see it. So, well, besides the smell, I mean, that makes me not want to go see it, but it makes other people want to go see it. So, the luring in insects is not a strong support reason for why people are interested in seeing it. And then our last question here, is state the central idea of the account. Remember that some central ideas are implied rather than directly stated. Include at least one direct quote from the text to support your explanation. And then the hint says, what does the author most want you to know about the corpse flower? Think about how the account's first and last sentences connect to this idea. So if we're going to go back and looking at our corpse flower, we remember that in the first and the last sentence, they're talking about people going to visit this flower, which I think is going to be our central idea. And then we also already have these underlined support details. So we're going to say, let's go down to our text. The corpse flower, the central, we're writing in complete sentences, idea is that the corpse flower is unique, I guess, is a unique plant that fascinates people. Enough to visit it. The text states, so we're going to use something about people visiting it. Something about when it blooms, people come. Oh yeah, let's use this one here. When a corpse flower blooms, people flock to witness the unforgettable sight of a man-sized flower ripe with the color and scent of death. I think that's a great, it kind of encompasses everything we underlined in one sentence. So that's the sentence that I'm going to use, if I can remember it. When a corpse flower blooms, people flock to witness the unforgettable sight of a man-sized size flower, ripe with the color and scent of death. My lines don't match up, but it's okay.